guys. I see there's a few of you waiting for class to start. We will get started in about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I always love to hear where you're watching from. So if you see a little chat bubble in there and want to tell me where you are today, I'd love to hear. So if you're just joining me, we will get officially started in about 4 minutes now. And in the meantime, you can tell me where you're watching from. You could also grab yourself some water, a block, and a blanket if you have one, and maybe put on some gentle music for yourself. Thank you so much for being here. I keep glancing down at the clock to make sure it's still going. This time waiting is a little bit awkward for me because I get so impatient just to get started, but I want to make sure everybody who wants to be in our class today live can be here. So I'll give it just a couple more minutes. If you would like to tell me where you're watching from, that's always exciting for me. So you can just type that into the chat bubble if you're watching through YouTube. And again, I appreciate you being here. My name is Elise Fabricant. I'm in my living room in Denver, Colorado. Always honored to have this opportunity through Yoga Download. My dog Pippa is here just over to the side. You might see her or maybe hear her. And we've got just 2 minutes to wait. For the first time this week, I taught a class to real people. First time since March. Out in a park, it was lovely. I really missed that. And at the same time, I'm also so grateful to have this opportunity to connect through yoga with people really all over the world through Yoga Download on this free Friday afternoon class. So let's officially get started. I'm ready. I see there's a few of you out there. I'd love to hear where you're from. If you have any trouble hearing or seeing me, please let me know in the chat. And again, my name is Elise Fabricant. I'm here in my home in hot, smoky Denver, Colorado with my dog Pippa, who's just off screen. And today's going to be a really just nice, well-rounded, full body practice. So I've been a teacher for Yoga Download for quite a few years, and I have about 75 classes on the site. I will be recording more next month, so if you have any requests for classes to be viewed on the Yoga Download site, please let me know. Always open to taking requests and getting ideas. And today I just trust that you take care of your body. If anything feels too extreme or fast for you, please take a break. You can lie down or come into child's pose just to reconnect with your breath, slow down. If it feels a little too slow for you and you know some up-leveling options, go ahead as long as you feel safe. So this is your practice and I'm just here as a guide. Again, if you're just joining me, my name is Elise. I'm here in Denver. We're going to have a 45-minute, well-rounded full body practice. So I'll scoot back to my mat. Make sure you have a block and a blanket, or if you don't have them, no big deal, you can do without. Maybe you want to put on some gentle music and grab some water. And whenever you're ready, join me in child's pose on your mat. Thanks again for being here. So after you've gathered what you need for your practice, separate your knees. Allow your sit bones to melt back and down towards your heels. Drop your forehead heavy to the ground or a block or blanket, wherever it needs to be. And then to begin this child's pose, bend both elbows deeply so that your shoulders can roll softly away from your ears. And your forearms can rest heavy on the ground. Sense into your palms. Allow your palms to soften in a sense of receptivity, as if they're getting even more sensitive. Sense into the pads of your fingers. Feel into the clear alignment of your spine, the weight of your hips and buttocks, the deep crease of your hips in the front, and then tune into your breath. Consciously slow the breath down, breathing the deep inhalations down into your belly and pelvis. Allow the exhalations to move up and out through the tip of your nose. With the in-breath, you'll notice a gentle lift and lengthening of the torso, an expansion of the belly. With the exhalation, imagine your hips moving back closer to your heels and your whole body surrendering to the earth. Three more breaths like this, please. Unraveling the tension from the spine, linking body, breath, and mind. And then with your next inhalation, start to walk your arms all the way forward, so much that you can rest on your fingertips while the forearms and upper arms pop up off the ground. Then push the floor away from you with the fingertips. Notice how this guides the hips closer to the heel bones. Roll the shoulders broad away from the ears as if your armpits are trying to look at your chin. Then activate the arms a little bit more, clear stretch through the elbows. 3 breaths here. A more active child's pose, lengthen the side waist, lengthen the rib cage. 1 more breath. With your exhalation, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And with the inhalation, push up super slowly. Now you can stay seated on your heels, but bring the knees a little closer together. If that's not comfortable, you can just roll onto your bottom and sit cross-legged. Wherever you are, reach your arms all the way up overhead. Interlace your fingers and turn your palms up to the sky. Stretch long through the elbows as you draw the shoulders down away from your ears. Feel the inner edges of the shoulder blades squeeze together, taking some of the stress off the upper shoulders or trapezius. Really turn your palms skyward, and then as you reach through the hands, drop your tailbone heavy, Knit your rib cage in. From the length you've created through side waist and rib cage, side bend to the right, to the left. We'll go a few times to each side. Just opening up the side body, which tends to get so short and stuck, stagnant. You could link this movement with your breath. Inhale as you stretch to one side, exhale back up to center. One more time to each direction, each side. Good. And then reach up one more time. Now make a big circle with your arms, reaching wide through the fingertips. I'm going to hit the table there. Hopefully you don't have furniture around you. Interlace your hands behind your back. Roll the upper arm bones back. Broaden through the chest, the collarbones. Draw your one fist down your butt and then away from your butt. And then drop your chin towards your chest while maintaining the lift through the sternum or breastbone. So hopefully you feel a nice elongation, stretch through the back of the neck, in that space where the neck meets the skull. With your next breath, float the head up. Take your one fist you've made here to the right side of your waist, drop the shoulders down, and then left ear to left shoulder to stretch the right side of the neck. Now I like to move my chin around a little bit here to influence different angles of the stretch. We'll be doing these warm-ups for a little bit today, and then we will pick up the pace for some more vigorous vinyasa-esque. Let's float the head back up to center, do the other side. The fists come over to the left, right ear to right shoulder. And again, feel free to play with the placement of the chin, noticing, observing, never judging or critiquing. Float the head back up to center. Good work. All right, from here, bring your fingertips behind your toes. So if you're sitting cross-legged, you may want to pop back up onto your heels if you can sustain it for this ankle stretch. We're just going to stretch the ankles by lifting one knee up and then the other. It's a nice stretch at the top of the foot too. If you're feeling spunky today, maybe you lift both knees up. And then the fingers can come in front, lift the hips, tuck your toes underneath. Now let's roll through the feet. So I'm on my toes and then slowly articulating the soles of the feet until my heels come down. Yours might come close. And then rolling forward again. Some of you may notice this warm-up sequence from my morning Quickie 1 class. It's a free one on YouTube, just 15 minutes, so feel free to check that out. Now let's add in a little cat-cow action with the spine. So as the knees come forward, we're going to lift the heart and roll shoulders back, look up. This is a cow variation. And then as the heels come towards the ground, round the spine, tuck the chin, open the back body. Cat pose, kind of. Inhale, knees down, look up. Exhale, heels down, look down. Continue a few more breaths, your pace. Moving slowly. Good job. The next time the knees come forward, just come into a regular all fours. So you may need to walk the hands forward so that they're right underneath the shoulders. I'm going to lift up my feet, roll out the ankles one direction and the other. Sometimes people like to pat the top of the feet onto the floor. It's okay, Pips. My dog's not sure what to make of that. From here, pigeon pose. So let's take the left knee forward and wide, draping the shin down at whatever angle works best for your hips and knees. Then take your weight a little bit side to side until you feel equally balanced right and left side. So I don't want you spilling your hips to one side. Good. Let's keep upright for here. So take your fingers a little bit wider, roll the shoulders back, soft bend in the elbows. Then you could tuck your right toes under, lift the leg and scoot it back a little bit more. Once both knees are back on the floor, hug the knees in towards each other diagonally. They won't actually move, but you'll feel a little more tension through the inner thighs, a lift through the pelvis. Release that isometric stretch, so just let the knees come back, soften through inner thighs, and then just for a moment, because it feels so good, go ahead and fold your torso down towards the earth and let your forehead arrive on something. Maybe that's a block or your hands or the floor. 2 long, clear breaths, please. In and out through the nose, clearing out and unraveling the hips. With your next inhalation, bring the hands underneath shoulders, press through the arms, and we'll transition now into downward facing dog. Tuck the right toes under and lift the left leg up and back to make that upside down V with the body. Hang out in stillness here for a moment. And then if you'd like, you could walk the dog, bending one knee and then the other. Say hello to the backs of the legs. Wow. And now transitioning to pigeon on the other side. This time the right knee comes forward. You can approach it from down dog or all fours like before. Widen through the hands. Take your weight a little bit side to side until you feel equally balanced. Then tuck the left toes under and scooch that left leg back. Then when the knees are down again, pull the knees isometrically together. That means they won't move, but you're feeling the tension in the muscles. Pull the pelvis up, lift through the chest, broaden through the collarbones. And then release the effort through the knees and fold forward for a couple soothing breaths in this more restorative version. Relax the tension from your jaw, soften through the belly. Let the gravity just take you down. And with your next inhalation, transition, hands underneath shoulders, press back, downward facing dog. Now your choice, you can walk the dog or stay still. Whichever variation you choose, make sure that your hands are about shoulder width distance apart with the index finger spinning forward. Make sure that the feet are about hip width distance apart, turning the heels out a little bit so that they're hiding behind the toes. Then make sure that the hips are lifting as high as possible and use your legs to press back. Let's just take 2 more breaths. With the next exhalation, start to walk either hands. Let's take feet forward. Actually, everyone walk feet forward into Ragdoll or Uttanasana. I like to make soft fists, place them into the crooks of the elbows, let the head hang completely. Now just taking soft knee bends, little bounces through the knees. And or you could also sway through the upper body. That feels really good on the low back. Continue to check and make sure that the neck is soft, head is heavy. Scoop out the belly and roll a little extra weight forward to the balls of the feet. All right, Uttanasana. Coming now into Utkatasana, chair pose. Release the arms. Bend your knees deeply so that your thighs are parallel to the ground. And then lift the arms up. Let's just take them parallel to the ground as well today, so it's a little different variation. Now, guide the weight back into your heels and lift your toes. Guide the arms back into their sockets. Lift the heart, lift the gaze, lift the corners of your mouth and sink down through the hips one more time. Starting to build the heat a little bit. With the next exhalation, straighten the legs, palms to prayer in front of your heart. How are you guys doing? Find your breath. the inhalation, sweep the arms up all the way overhead for a half sun salutation. With the exhalation, deep knee bend and hinge at the hips, coming forward and down. Inhale, fingertips to shins, halfway lift, rise the torso parallel to the ground. Exhale, scoop out the belly and fold forward. Ground for the feet and rise once again to stand, hinging at hips, reach tall. Exhale, palms to prayer in front of the heart. Let your thumb tips touch your sternum. Inhale, sweep up, big circle through the arms. Exhale, keep your spine long as you hinge forward and down. Inhale, fingertips higher than you think they need to be so that you can really lift and open the heart. Exhale, now fold forward over those straight legs. Push through the feet, root to rise all the way up. Palms to the heart, stand still. One more time, just like this, please. Make it a dance. Inhale, slight back bend here. Exhale, broad heart all the way forward and down. Inhale, lift and open. Exhale, surrender, cascade forward and down. Push through the feet and rise to stand. Exhale, palms to prayer. Close your eyes. Find the clear alignment in the spine, the soothing rhythm of your breath. Now let's just shake it out a little bit. So you could widen the feet a little bit and get a little movement through the hips and start to like nice soft floppy twists here. I really like this motion to get the spine introduced to twisting. And then also I like my arms to be really floppy so that they can reach back and kind of massage my kidney areas. So lift up one heel and then the other. And if you'd like to take this a little faster, feel free. If you're familiar with my classes on Yoga Download, you know how I kind of prefer sort of a fusion style of yoga, which incorporates some other traditions. To me, just feels really nurturing. Hope that feels good for you too. Let's come back to standing with one set of toes on the ground. Roll out your ankle. Switch directions. And then we'll practice balancing for the first time today on one foot. So lift up that same leg and just flick and fling it. Hope you can see me here. I'm just flicking and flinging the leg to get some movement through ankle and knee. Let's try the other side. So toes on the ground, roll out the ankle, other side, other direction. This side's really cracky for me. Hopefully you can't hear that. Let's take the leg up and just give it a little flick. Oh, that's very loud. And then both feet to the ground, nice and wide for hip circles. So I'm moving through hips, belly, pelvis, low back, but notice my head and shoulders stay fairly in one place, mostly in one place. See if you can maintain that and really get the movement from the low back, belly, and hips. Switch directions. Good. Hands to shoulders, still the hips, and make big circles with your elbows. Working out those shoulders. So elbows come forward, together, up, and back. Forward, together, up, and back. Aha. Release. Now, just like you did with your leg, you can do it with your arm. So just a flinging, a flicking, getting some mobility through the elbow, wrists, and even through the finger joints. Other side. This joint release is also another yoga download class of mine. It's a short one, and it's also so good to do in the morning after you get out of bed. So good in the evening after a long day of work. Let's paddle the wrists. So I'm doing like a little splashing motion, and then we can wave, and we can chop, and we can play piano. And then finally, shoulders up to the ears. Actually, let's do a little neck roll. So release the shoulders down, half circles with the neck. feels so good. Okay, and I'm gonna take a little drink of water, feel free, and then we're gonna start some more traditional yoga. All right, join me when you're ready at the top of your mat, and we'll get more into some one leg balancing poses. So to begin balancing, it's important to bring your feet side by side so that when you shift your weight to one foot, you don't have to shift too much. So let's just practice bringing the feet together, heels slightly apart. Ground through the heel bones, through the corners of the upper feet. Roll the shoulders back and lift through the heart. Then find one gaze in front of you. And we'll start with tree pose. So pull your right foot up so that the heel comes high to the inner left groin if possible. If that's not working for you, you can also put your foot to the inner left calf. Then you can reach your branches out or up. I like to bring my hands together with all 10 of my finger pads touching. Now identify your outer left hip area and start to give it a little squeeze. That's gluteus medius. As you squeeze it, the hip bone will come back into midline. Once you hug everything into midline, find a little more length through the torso. From here, we'll transition into standing figure 4. So that means that leg, the right foot, the right ankle just crosses right over the left thigh. Keep flexing through the ankle firmly. And then from here, we're coming into our chair pose again by bending left knee. As you bend the left knee, stick your booty back. Support the curve of the lower back by pulling the belly up and in. Good. As you sink down a little bit further, savor that hip stretch and drop the right knee down so that it's level with the left. Can we come into warrior 3 from here? Lots of breath. Use your drishti, your gaze point, unravel the right leg. Shoot it straight back behind you and then straighten through both knees. Flex both feet. Find a clear alignment from right heel through the head as you tip forward, warrior 3. Some people call this airplane pose. You could reach the arms out like wings. Then, as slowly and gracefully as possible, bend the left knee and step the right leg way back. For crescent lunge, the heel stays lifted. Let's open the palms to the sky. Slight bend through the elbows, lift the heart. Now bend the left knee as much as you need to bring that knee right above the ankle and the thigh parallel to the ground. Let the right inner thigh spin up to the sky, reach through that heel. Beautiful. We'll keep the left knee bent and transition into goddess pose by bending the right knee, face the long edge of the mat. Let's just take a couple little bounces here just for fun. Now triangle pose. Now I forgot to tell you to bring a block to the top of your mat. So I'm gonna just, for a moment, cheat and grab my block. You don't need it if you don't have one. Now for triangle pose, we'll turn the left toes out. Slide the right toes in towards the top of the mat a little bit. Hands to the hips. With the hands on the hips, feel that left hip cut under and the right hip pop on top. Then reach through the left arm and rib cage. Take the hand to the shin or to the block or maybe to the ground if you can keep your spine straight. Reach through both legs. Pull the kneecaps up into the thighs and then finally extend right arm to the sky. Trikonasana. This pose is so wonderful for strengthening the legs. Gives you a little twist through the spine and it's a heart opener, so lean back and open your chest. Good. Reverse triangle, keep your legs straight. Come up, slide the right hand down the thigh as the left arm comes up and over. Oh, your breath. I'm a little out of breath. It's very hot here. Again, if you need to slow it down or come into child's pose again, feel free. Good. All right, now we're going to bend that left knee again for warrior two. The arms stretch out parallel to the ground. As you turn your gaze over your middle left finger, turn your belly button towards the right foot. So the torso is facing the long edge of the mat, and the gaze is facing the short edge of the mat. Soften shoulders away from the ears and then sink down into that bend of the knee. Pull the earth energy up from the feet to the pelvis. Lift your heart. Good. Little tricep stretch here. So let's bend the left elbow. Pat yourself on the back. Take the right hand on top of the left elbow. Push elbow into hand, hand into elbow. And then maybe just a little side stretch here. One more breath. And release. Let's windmill the hands down. I'm going to move my block out of the way for a moment. And then step back into a strong plank pose. Take a deep breath into firm belly and thighs. With the exhalation, use your belly to pull back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. After your next exhalation, look forward, step or lightly hop, feet to hands. Now while I'm here, I'm just going to take my block over to the right side of the mat. And then inhale, rise to standing. Palms to prayer. Let's do all of that again on the other side. Again, this sequence is from that same morning quickie class. If you like it, check it out, free on YouTube. Okay, feet together. Find the gaze point. Reconnect with your breath. Tree pose, Vrikshasana. Pull the left leg up as high as you can into the right groin. Feel free to experiment with where you place your arms, your branches. And then remember that hugging in of the right hip. It comes from the gluteus medius muscle. So right at the top of the hip here, engage, hug it in. Root down through the standing foot. Elongate the spine. You know where we're going next, so in your mind's eye, imagine standing figure four. And then you can actually come into it by keeping that leg, that foot, the ankle flexed, and then sliding it over the thigh. I like to bring my palms to my heart, hug into midline, and then from there, deep knee bend. The heart stays lifted. Encourage the left knee down to the same level as the right. Hopefully you feel a nice stretch through the left outer hip. Of course, we're working with stability and balance, patience. It's always important to have a sense of humor and a lot of forgiveness for yourself. And now, warrior three, as gracefully as possible. Thread that leg through, start to tilt at the hips. Straighten both legs like your heels are really reaching for something. Dial the left pinky toes towards the earth to square the hips. And now the right knee will bend as you step way back, slow and controlled for crescent. In crescent, we'll open the arms out to the side, slight bend through the elbows, as if you're holding up the earth with the arms. Roll shoulders back, lift the heart, lift the gaze. Big breath into the openness and spaciousness of your body. And we'll keep the right knee bent, so you're really taxing the frontal thigh tissues. And we're just going to transition into goddess on the other side. Little bounces. Maybe getting a little deeper in that knee bend. Now straighten both legs, hands to the hips. Preparing for Trikonasana, right foot in slightly, left foot out so that the toes face forward. Now as you tilt the hips, deep hip crease on the right side. Start to reach through the right arm and right rib cage. When you can't reach any further, that hand comes down to something. I prefer a block on the outside edge of the shin. Then lengthen both sides of the waist. Reach the left arm up. Turn the gaze if you'd like. Continue to ground down through all four corners of each foot. Pull the energy up through inner thighs, up through the kneecaps. And then create that little baby twist and little baby heart opener right here. Good, keep the legs strong. Reverse triangle pose, come up and overhead. This time stretching the right side. Big breath into that rib cage. Warrior two, it's a strong pose. You may need to take a little longer stance. As you bend down, I want your knee to be right over your ankle and the thigh to be parallel to the ground. Then stretch open the arms, reaching through pinky side. Lift through the heart. Keep all of that, the navel twisting towards the left foot, and then turn that strong, fierce gaze over middle right finger. And here we will stretch the tricep. Bend the elbow, pat yourself on the back. Elbow, hand, hand, elbow. Try not to let this bend and round through your neck. Instead, press your head back and lift your heart. Don't forget about the deep knee bend here. One more breath. Good work, everyone. Thank you for being here, for staying with me. Let's transition. So I'm going to move my block out of the way and come into plank pose once again, holding here for a strong breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, slow down the breath. Inhale, prana, life force, energy. Exhale out any last bit of tension, stagnation, and stress. One more time like this. With the exhalation, look forward, step lightly, hop, whatever you need to get your feet forward and your butt on the ground. Another good chance for a sip of water. I hope those standing poses felt good today. For the rest of our class, we'll be on the floor. So let's start with a seated twist. Now, I have a blanket here because I like to sit up on the very edge of a blanket, putting my sit bones on and my upper hamstrings off. Then, straighten and lengthen the left leg in front of you. Hug the right knee up and in. Really pull that heel as close as you can to the pelvis. Then take the right hand behind the back. If you're like me with pretty short arms, you might want something else under it. Wrap your left arm around the right knee. Now with the inhalation, elongate the spine. Exhale, simple twist back towards the right. Twist your low back, your mid back, your upper back, and then just a little bit through the neck. Maybe add in the eye gaze. Keep the left foot active, left ankle flexed. With the inhalation, breathe down into the belly. With the exhalation, twist, rinse, and ring. One more time in, one more time out. Let the next in-breath unwind you. Straighten the right leg, bend the left knee. Pull that foot up as close to the pelvis as possible. Sort of shift forward on the sit bones so that you have a long lower back. And then the left hand comes behind you like a little kickstand, and the right arm can reach and wrap. Reinvigorate the breath, inhaling down into the pelvis, elongate the spine. Exhale it all out as you scoop the belly out of the way and start to twist. Let's do two more full breaths like this. inhalation releases the twist, unwinding back to center. Good. Come on down now for a bridge pose. So you may want your block handy. Again, I'm going to grab another glass of water. It's hot here, and it's a lot of talking and moving at the same time. Okay, bridge pose, Setu Bandha. So we're going to come into 3 of these. So roll all the way down. Align your feet as close up to your sit bones as possible, about sit bone distance apart. Now, depending on your proportions, you may be able to reach your hands down and tickle your ankles. They should be that close. Then press the back of your head into the ground and lift up your hips just a little bit so that you can roll one shoulder and then the other underneath your body. So you're just kind of resting here on the backs of your shoulder blades, the back of your head, and your feet. Use those feet to press into the earth, and with that press, lift up, hips, low back, mid back. Good. You can keep your arms right where they are. You could interlace your hands underneath your butt. You could come onto your elbows with the fingers pointing to the sky. Your choice. Imagine now you have a little block or like a magnet between your thighs, and they're hugging in. Squeeze your butt just a little bit and lift up one more time. Let the exhalation roll you down super slow. Untuck the shoulders and just let yourself rest. Maybe letting the knees come in, hands to the torso. Okay, we don't want to cool down too much because we have a couple more rounds of that. This next one will be just the same. So, you know where you're going. Hands down, feet down, lift up just a little bit, roll the shoulders under. Then, align the feet, press into the earth, and come up. Your variation with the arms. And now this is the second side, the second time your body remembers where you were, so maybe you can find a little bit more lift, an equal engagement of inner thighs and butt. Press your head back into the earth, press your chest towards your chin, and then lift up one more time, big breath. With the exhalation, roll on down, take your time. Now I'm going to give you a choice. You always have a choice, of course. But for the third variation, I want you to either do just what we did before, or if you know wheel pose and want to come up onto your hands for full wheel, you're welcome to do that carefully. Or if you'd like to take a more restorative version, you can join me by bringing a block underneath your low back sacrum. So wherever you choose to be, go ahead and press up slowly, either into the regular Setu Bandha bridge, into full wheel, or into supported bridge. Now we're all going to be here for about 3 breaths. Make them count. Those of you in bridge pose, if you're in bridge pose, remember that coming down, you're going to need to tuck your chin to your chest and roll down very slowly on the back of your head. And then if you're in supported bridge, sorry, that was for wheel pose. Supported bridge, of course, take the block out from underneath, and then everyone go ahead and come on down. Rest here for a moment. The knees can come together. And then let's all pull knees up into chest. Give yourself a good little squeeze, a hug. You could even massage the low back by making circles on the ceiling with the knees. One direction, and then the other. All right, let's take a gentle twist here. So you can take both knees or just the left knee over to the right and turn the torso and gaze to the left. And allow yourself to be heavy, almost yin-like, releasing the musculature, softening with gravity. Again, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have a really special little relaxing time in just a moment, so stay with me and I'll be back again next week. Let the next inhalation bring your legs back to center. Exhale, roll it over to the other side, knees or right knee to the left. And gaze and shoulders to the right. One more breath. Let the next inhalation bring the knees back to center. Now we're going to prepare for an extended shavasana. So if you have a blanket, you may want to roll it up right underneath your knees. That can feel really nice, supportive for the low back. If not, no big deal. Don't worry about it. Just come on down. Okay, once you're on your back, take your fingertips to the space between your neck and your skull. This is the suboccipital area. And I want you to either just give yourself a little massage here, or you can just find a point, it might be a little tender, and hold. We'll be here for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Let the rest of your body relax. Take some sweet breaths right here. Today we're working some acupressure points to help us bring the mind and energy body back into balance. Last few moments here on this area, and then we'll switch to another area. You don't have to press very hard. With some exploring, you might notice just a little tender area. That's a good spot to be. And then we'll switch. So with one hand, go ahead and press into your third eye area, Ajna chakra. That's just the spot right between your eyebrows. And again, it doesn't have to be very hard. Just a little pressure there. And with the other hand, find the very top of your head. You might need to move your ponytail like me. And this is the space where when you were an infant, you had a little soft spot there. And just hold those 2 points as you breathe, relaxing the rest of your body. We'll be here for another 20 to 30 seconds or so before moving on. If you are practicing this kind of acupressure practice at home, you may want to stay for longer. Just a little intro today. Okay. The next place we'll go is the heart center, the sternum area. So just cross one hand over it, place the other hand on top. Soft, sweet breath into this place of love and self-compassion. Good. Release the arms down by your sides for shavasana, turning the palms up. Let your whole body get heavy, soft, surrender. As I always say, this is the most important part of the practice. If you have the urge to get up and run off, make yourself stay for an extra minute or so. I will leave you here. I'm just going to get up to say goodbye, but really stay as long as you can. Again, it's always such my pleasure to host this class on Fridays at 4:30 Mountain Time. If you enjoyed it and want to show your appreciation monetarily, there should be a Donate Now button on your screen, and Yoga Download generously gives me all the money that comes in. It's so helpful. Another way to help is by watching my classes on Yoga Download, and you can also share the code or use the code Elise F for 50% off your first month on Yoga Download. I'll be back next week. Always excited to take any requests from you all. You can find me on social media, Elise Fabricant. Thanks so much. Namaste. Bye everyone. Have a great weekend.